Hello, everyone, and we're back with another episode of In the Studio with AVAM. We were talking in the first couple episodes about time in the hospitality industry, but the question was introduced saying that somebody in the chat had the first experience with gaming was Super Mario on the NES, which was an amazing system. Let's talk about our first gaming experiences. Editor,
Yes.
what was the first game that you played? Because I'll tell you something, you're not a bad gamer yourself. Your specialty is Hollow Knight.
I do love my Hollow Knight. I can play that game forever, over and over, and it will never get old. But dating back to childhood, earliest game was probably Frogger on the SNES.
Okay.
That was one of the originals. I played a lot of Super Mario. I just had the All-Stars pack for the SNES, so played all of those. I mean, I have played Atari. Obviously, that was kind of introduced a little bit later to me, just because it was something that was kind of like brought up from the basement. But you know, I've played almost every platform. So I don't know. I love them all. I have favorites in every category.
That's right.
A lot of Mortal Kombat.
Oh, the screen was in a table. Okay, so did you happen to have your first experience with that at a Pizza Hut? Was it at a Pizza Hut? Because I remember that they used to have those like tabletop styles. Yes, see, it was at a Pizza Hut. Okay, you know, let's talk about that. Pac-Man was a great game, and the evolution of video games now is amazing. That when I'm playing the games that I play, I think one of the first memories of gaming was a duck hunting game where it was a projector and the ducks would fly on the wall. Ms. Pac-Man was the biggest prostitute of all time because you gave her 50 cents and she eats balls all night. My goodness. Now there's a conspiracy theory and a gaming experience. We have come full circle.
We'll never see it any other way ever again.
Chomp, 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 chomp. Waka, 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 waka. You know, all of those things now, I don't think, you know, now you look at graphics. Let's talk about the change of that. Diablo, Elden Ring. Elden Ring is a beautiful game. Sekiro, FromSoft games, beautiful, beautiful games. Ghost of Tsushima, one of my favorites. Neo, yeah, I think you guys are seeing a trend here in what I like to play. But there is so many beautiful things now. But I remember when we switched from the NES to the SNES, and people were like, oh my God, 16-bit graphics. We have reached the future. Like, flying cars were right around the corner. And you know what we spent that money on? Smartphones. We should have stuck with the flying cars and got rid of the smartphones. Nobody had a smartphone in Back to the Future, just so I'm aware. But they did have a flying car. Where did we go wrong? They get flying cars in 2015. We got the fruit phone number something. Donkey Kong, you know, such an iconic character. He's still around today. Killer Instinct. Okay, so let's go back around that time. What was it? Was it Clay Fighters? Was it Clay Fighters that was also out? And people were like, oh my gosh, look at that movement. Yes, you don't need a smartphone. We don't, you know what, people? Here's a conspiracy theory. We do not need smartphones. I can still go home and wait for you to call me. I don't actually need to be bothered by you. Stop motion photography. You know, and it's funny that so many people tried that around that time, and to see how it's still used. You know, speaking of photography and things like that, Oppenheimer, which, you know, I only got to see, there's nothing wrong with still writing letters, Meowser. That's a beautiful thing.
Yeah,
good.
It really is. People love getting letters.
And your husband's not making fun of you for that one. He probably finds it very, very endearing. I still send checks out to pay certain bills, so let's go. Um, no, thank you very much. Groovy. Who wants some? Come get some. Uh, you know, we're gonna have to have an episode dedicated to the entire Evil Dead series. I think.
Oh
I
my
think.
gosh,
I think that's something
yes.
that's gonna have to come up.
Yes.
Um, Iron Man. I'm officially. Well, I'm inviting everybody to come to that episode. But
Absolutely.
Iron Man, you're gonna be front and center and help us out with this. Um, but no, let's talk about the Donkey Kong and how many of those iconic characters still exist. Now you look at Mario Kart, which is an awesome game for everybody. I don't care how old you are, you have Mario Kart. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
when they Donkey Kong
Yeah,
Country. Who remembers Donkey Kong Country and how awesome that game looked?
that was a
Uh,
great game.
and that they had Cranky Kong was actually the original. So amazing. Yes, that's true. If you can make it through the Rainbow Bridge, you can make it through everything. Now, Rainbow Bridge on which one? The the one for the Super Mario Kart for SNES, or which version are we talking about? The Rainbow Bridge being difficult.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, yeah, and it didn't. The only thing that made it a rainbow was the fact that the tiles were the different colors. It still looked like a road. Now you're riding on a rainbow.
Yeah, a literal rainbow.
It's amazing. Did we mention John Gonzalez at Polar Bear Comedy in this episode? Probably not.
Not in this one.
But take a look at him. A full blown arcade place. So I remember our mall having two of them. There was one was a franchise one, and then there was like this independently owned one that in the jobs you got where you either worked in a grocery store or the ones that worked at the arcade in the mall when we were teenagers. They were the cool ones. Uh, you know what? It's funny that you mentioned those. The Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle game was so amazing, and the Simpsons fighting game with the 4-player, and Marge had a vacuum. Marge had a vacuum, and Homer just punched people. It was okay. What pulled you into gaming and arcades? PC War Room. Tron. Okay. So you're talking about, of course, the original one because at this time most of those arcades are gone. And that movie was also just beautifully ahead of its time and I think underrated. Do you still think the original Tron is holds up to the new one? How do you compare the two and what are your thoughts on that? We'll get to that in a second because I know that they're formulating a response. But
Mm-hmm.
the conversation about the original will always be era breaking. I agree. I agree. No, but another person I'm going to plug in here because I think they're hilarious is the Last Starfighter. Okay, so also a great film, but let's does anyone else remember the movie Robot Jocks? That one was interesting and I remember seeing it on HBO when I was probably about I don't know, it was before it was probably Robot Jocks. You just watched it again? It was you want to talk about stop motion animation, but in such a way that was just amazing. Iron Man, go take a look at it. I know you've probably seen it. It's free on YouTube right now. Fantastic. All right. Sometime too, you're all going to have to come to a watch party that we'll do of something that we have on Prime,
Yeah.
and we can all have a little fun of Mystery Science Theater 3000. Yeah, send PC War Room, send Iron Man the link to that one because he needs to see it. It was ahead of its time. But I still go back to the joke I made earlier. Like 2015 had flying cars if you hadn't spent your money on phones. So I think we could have been better off with a flying DeLorean than worrying
And
about which new Apple I have to play. Oh, good. We got everybody going on. This is nice. It's good to see
yeah.
friends come together in this realm too. And I like to have the connection. Like I have a good connection with my editor. In fact, I love her to death. So that's the most important thing. She's not even listening right now.
I had to resort to looking at the comments on my phone, everyone. I'm sorry. I'm trying to get caught up here because I don't know what you guys are talking about.
I got a freebie.
Did you just give me a compliment? You gotta say it again.
No. No, it's amazing. When let's see another let's think of another great movie from that era. One of my favorite games of all time. Yes. And the conversations, I think, here is where you can connect with people that are part of the same ideals, like-mindedness, how you can bring a world together through common ground. And I like that as well. But we were talking about Donkey Kong, and that original game was so, when you go back and look at the original Nintendo layouts, the games were so simple, but the repetitive actions they still released the serotonins as you were accomplishing things, whether or not jumping over barrels, grabbing the hammer, missing the fire, but watching Donkey Kong fall on his head. That has always been something that I realized that pulls gamers together is the serotonin.
Yeah. It can just be so satisfying.
One of the most interesting things is even in FromSoft games that are very, very challenging, which I play from time to time. Sekiro is one that I will play on here, but I always put it on with the context of, wow, I'm terrible. But when you spend time going over and over a part, but then you end up beating the boss, it's like, yes, I rock so hard, not to mention the 132 times that, I died prior. The game is called, Sekiro Shadows Die Twice, but I'm going to die about every 20 seconds. And it's still a game that I enjoy because of the beauty and just the design in general. Mm-hmm. But those original games are what really quickly in 30 years paved the way for such amazing things and how technology has grown. My first computer, I think, had a 128 megabytes of RAM, and that's all you got. Doom came on 5 3x5-inch floppy disks, and oh yeah, like Space Invaders, Pac-Man. Are you going to mention an Amiga or a Commodore 64? The suspense is becoming palpable. No, remember when laptops were like 24 pounds? And now you go to pick up a Chromebook and it's like a piece of paper and it goes out the window and you're like, well,
literally,
there's $30 I'm not getting back.
I just remembered the game. What was it? Star Fox?
Star Fox.
I love that game. Love it.
It was, and PC War Room went to school with Jesus in high school. Was it Jesus?
It was. That game was a masterpiece for the platform that it was on.
It was the Super Nintendo, I think, that it was originally out on, if I'm not mistaken. And having those right and left trigger buttons at the top, a compact Presario. Okay. Wow, that's a model that I haven't heard in many, many years. But let's talk about the design of controllers, thinking of those R and L buttons, right and left, that you had on the Super Nintendo,
Mhm.
because was Sega was the first one that had the 3 buttons on the controller, I believe. But they did they have the triggers on the original one? Because I didn't get into Sega games until they became somewhat nostalgic. I was uh yeah, so okay. As I was coming up, I was always a Nintendo supporter. I
Mhm.
can still remember getting a Super Nintendo for Christmas. Yes. Okay, so the it eventually went to 6 on Sega, but it started out with 3.
Mhm.
Okay, and that's right. That's right, the Game Gear. Uh and that was the first colorized handheld. Um I remember having the Game Boy with the lighted screen magnifier, and then I had the Game Boy 3D that was like mesmerizing, and they shot those rays directly into your eyeballs, and that's why we all still own a Switch to this day, whether or
Mhm.
not you want one.
Those
Everyone has one, because Nintendo still reaches into our soul and controls our memories. Um, That's right. You had to have the head-to-head cord, I believe they
Yes.
called it. And you couldn't go more than 3 feet. So if you had a fight, one of you was getting dinged with the other guy's Game Boy. No, actually, those kinds of things didn't happen then, because you're like, stop it. I paid a lot of money for this.
And
Um,
everyone's like, yeah, you did.
my Game Boy still works. That's it. 3 feet next to your friend fighting to the death. And that was when Game Boy, let's talk about Game Boy. Nunchucks. I need Game Boy chucks. Um, and that was a reference to Kung Pao Enter the Fist, which is a fantastic movie. I should be able to beat him now. Um, wee wee. Um, but they the Game Boy was the first game that we were introduced to Princess Daisy, and then she somehow became the princess in the Mario Brothers live action movie, which I still enjoy, by the way, and am not afraid to admit. Bob Hoskins, John Leguizamo, Dennis Hopper, um, and Mojo Nixon as Toad, believe it or not. Uh, and yeah, Samantha Mathis was Princess Daisy. Um, that was a great film. Um, I think it was the most accurate and greatest representation of a Bob-omb of all time. That is one of my most favorite and iconic characters. I have several models uh, of Bob-ombs that I like to collect because I just think it's one of the coolest Mario enemies that ever existed. Jessica Rabbit was your first crush? Oh my goodness. Howard the Duck. Oh my. Leia Thompson in such a amazing movie, not well received for its time, but then again, cult classic. Uh let's see. Amy Jo Johnson, I think, was the Pink Ranger from the original from the original Power Rangers, and she might have been a lot of people during that era's first crush, to be honest with you. So I don't think you're alone. It's that show was a great show too. I remember I used to be quite I always wanted to be the Blue Ranger because I liked the Triceratops, and I thought that was the coolest, and I liked his weapon. And G.I. Joe. That's true. That's true. We well, and then the didn't the Yellow Ranger, uh, the actress that played her, I think she passed away too, several years ago. But it is a shame. Yeah, see, it's a shame when you see those icons from younger times are past. It's very difficult because the entertainment industry has changed so much. I don't recognize a lot of the people that are coming up now. Um, okay, that sounds like a conspiracy theory, but we might have to look into that. I don't know if that's true, and I'm not going to mention that vocally, but we can. It's a theory. What the new Power Rangers? Is it any good on? Is it any good? Which? Oh, okay. I have not. I heard that was coming out, but I have not taken a chance to look at it. If you're on YouTube though, check out John Gonzalez's at his handles at Polar Bear Comedy, and he has a special out called Hispanic Causing Panic, and it's taken him some time to get to where he's at, and I appreciate his work. So support him if you get a chance to look at it. He's a good stand-up comedian. It's really funny. Power Rangers once and always. All right, listeners, take a look at it. Tell me what you think. I'll probably check it out. I've had a lot of fun making these episodes today. These podcasts will be up on Spotify, and they will, of course, they're going to be on Twitch, and they will go up on YouTube. So everybody has the ability to see them. I can't do it without the support of viewers like you. I think it's wonderful that you can raid from the phone.
Really?
Yeah.
All right.
So I appreciate all the support I've seen from you guys today, and these episodes are going to happen all the time. I am streaming every day. Videos go up on YouTube every Tuesday and Friday. Right now, my series is Dave the Diver, where I voice all the characters myself. As I have fun doing that, you've heard that I like to do different voices. But, we have Dave in the studio? Yeah, I'm here, but I'm getting kind of tired. All right, Dave, we'll see you later. Thanks a lot, AVAM. And it's something I enjoy doing, always have. Probably because I have ADD, and I will tag you. Thank you. I appreciate getting the help from everybody. Tamale, Iron Man, PC War Room, everyone that was here today. It's really helping me. I'm trying to build this as my career, as a dream, and you guys are all helping me get there. And believe me, I have no problem with saying that it does not go unnoticed. So
Yeah.
you're here for us. I will certainly be there for you guys anytime you need me to. I'm planning on going to TwitchCons now. The biggest thing is I am a voice. I am a voice. So, maybe one day there might be a face reveal, but until then, it's the voice behind the microphones. Yes, it is awesome to see the support. I was very surprised when I saw the raid, to be honest with you. All right, so what is that, Iron Man? I'm not familiar.
Yeah, can you explain?
Please go on. Your thoughts intrigue me. I wish to subscribe to your newsletter. I will also subscribe to your newsletter. If you would forward it to me, I would be happy to read it. What is going on? There are two. I'm old. There's too many things in front of the word tuber. I'm so confused. Where am I?
I think that based on my limited knowledge of PNGs, it's like something like you're concealed, like it's. Is that correct?
I'm not familiar, but please enlighten me. I wish to subscribe. Yes. Okay. So that type of animation? PNG tuber. All right. Well, something to look into.
Huh.
So, I see what you're doing. Ah, you make them.
Oh.
Editor, note, please get in touch with Iron Man. Okay, all right, we can work on something. Oh my goodness, freezing my budget.
Seriously. We would love to see what you got going on.
Free, you say?
Let me see if I would say I'm just gonna.
Oh, I've got to watch a video. When do I have time to do? Oh, wait, I do have time to do that. You know, it's not just for salads anymore, from what I've heard. Do I sound like an evil goat to you?
No.
Maybe I do. I don't know. I've never met an evil goat. So I'm gonna bring up another episode. Thank you for this episode, and we will see you on the next episode of In the Studio with AVAM.